Hi, I'm Analia Pucciarella, and welcome to Brightly Becoming. This is a podcast about faith, healing, and becoming the person that you were created to be. It's about the seasons that stretch us, the moments that strip us down, and the quiet, often unseen work of rebuilding stronger, wiser, and more rooted than before. Here, we talk about navigating health struggles in your 20s, trusting your body instead of fighting it, caring for your mind, and regulating your nervous system. This is a space to slow down, to breathe, to feel seen and understood, to reconnect with your faith, and to let your body feel like home again. Whether you're walking through a painful season or simply longing to live a more intentional, grounded life, this space is for you, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Brightly Becoming. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about identity. Like, who am I outside of what I'm going through? And this could be anything. For my case, health issues and currently loss. But for someone else, maybe it's some life-altering transition that forced you out of who you've known yourself to be your whole life and growing into someone that you aren't quite able to recognize in this moment. I don't know if you've ever caught yourself doing this, but I started realizing how easy it is to define myself by whatever I'm currently carrying. Like if someone asks you how you're doing, your answer is almost automatic. It's whatever has been taking up the most space in your mind. Or it's, I'm good. Like we cover it up. We're like, yeah, no way I'm sharing that today. And that makes sense, right? Because when something's heavy or confusing or just present all of the time, of course it becomes a thing that you talk about the most, the thing that you think about, the thing that you organize your entire life around. But I think what I didn't realize is how slowly I allowed that to define my identity. It became who I was, and it's subtle. It's not like one day you wake up and all of a sudden catch yourself doing it. It's more like you start explaining yourself through it. You start introducing yourself through it. And then one day you kind of pause and you're like, wait, if I took this away for 1 second, who am I? And in that moment, it's like, wow, I've lost who I am outside of all of this. I had that moment recently where I realized if someone asked me to describe myself, the first place my brain went to was my health issues. And that kind of stopped me because yes, that's part of my life. And yes, I have a testimony that I love sharing, but that's not the full picture. And I don't want it to be the full picture. I think so often I try to shed this version of myself or this part of me that tries so hard to keep me in one place because it feels safe. It feels safe to cling to what we know is familiar. The things that you do every day at one point probably didn't feel safe to your body, but you gave it time and your nervous system adjusted. I don't want to be the kind of person who pretends everything's fine when it's not, like the need to mask myself. I don't want to avoid what I'm going through, but at the same time, I also don't want to be reduced to just one season of my life. Like, have you ever felt that where you're like, I want to be honest with this person, but I also don't want this to be the only thing people associate me with? And I think the deeper question underneath all of this is, if I'm not defined by what I'm going through, then who am I? And I'm not going to lie, that question is so uncomfortable because when something has taken up so much space in your life, it's actually kind of hard to answer. So I didn't try to answer it all at once. I just started gradually paying more attention. I started asking myself smaller questions like, what do I really enjoy? Not what's productive, not what's helpful to someone else, but what feels like me. And then slowly my passion for the things that I love came back. I love to sing. It just feels like I'm aligned when I sing. I love painting. I have a talent of watercoloring and it just feels so grounding to me. And I love being in the kitchen, cooking, baking. My dream when I was younger was to open my own bakery. I almost always had a paintbrush, a microphone, or a cooking utensil in my hand growing up. And these are parts of me that still exist outside of anything I'm going through. And I think I forgot that for a while. Because when you're in a heavy or consuming season, you can start to feel that your life is just about managing things, waiting for things to change. And in the middle of that, you kind of lose touch with the parts of you that just exist, that want to create, want to sing, paint, draw, cook, whatever it may be. Those parts make up who you are. And I think that's the shift I'm starting to make. Instead of building my identity around what I'm navigating, I want to build it around what I love and what I value, what actually feels true to me. Because I'm an author, I'm a singer, a writer, an artist, a storyteller, a chef, a really good one, by the way, a public speaker, a mentor, and a light to anyone who needs it. And those parts of me haven't gone anywhere, even when life feels overwhelming. And I think that's something a lot of people need to hear, because it doesn't have to be one specific thing. It could be anything you're going through: a hard season, a transition, grief, feeling stuck, feeling uncertain about your life. Whatever it is, it can take up so much space that you start to believe that's all you are. But it's not. There is still a version of you underneath all of that. Because one day when you make it through this season and those difficult days disappear, you're going to feel so lost. You're not going to know who you really are if you keep defining yourself by the things you're surviving. Part of becoming isn't reinventing yourself. It's remembering who you were before this difficult season. And now look at you. Look at how much stronger you are. Look at how much more knowledge you've gained. You get to decide what parts of you still get to serve a purpose in your life. Like, oh, I still love this. This still feels like me. That means this part of me hasn't disappeared, and I can tap into it more, understand what it needs from me. And I don't think the goal is to ignore what you're going through. I don't think it's to pretend it's not there. I think it's to learn how to hold it without letting it define you completely. And that's the direction I want this podcast to move in. Less about what we're managing and more about who we are outside of it all. Because that's where identity actually lives, not in the hardest thing that you've been through, not in the season you're currently in, but in the parts of you that remain consistent through all of it. I'm still figuring this out. I still catch myself slipping into that mindset sometimes, but I'm noticing it more. And that awareness alone just feels like a step in the right direction. So if you've been feeling like the most prominent thing about you is what you're going through, just know that's not all you are. Sit down with yourself and have an honest conversation and write things down that you enjoy. There's more to you than this season. There always has been. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being here. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to leave me a comment below. And remember, you are not behind. You are still becoming. Now go do that thing you know you love that feels most aligned with who you are. And I'll talk to you soon.